Il titolo dell'incontro di
The title of today's meeting tackles a topic which is dear to the meeting from the very start. Homo Religiosus. I like to pronounce it with the correct Latin pronunciation so that we all have this in our ear as we heard it pronounced by Professor Ries. Today's topic will be discussed by three speakers. You will not see three at the moment, but we will soon announce him, who all people who have been leading players in the meeting over the past 33 years. You won't see here Professor Ries, who Benedict XVI made a cardinal, but we continue to call him Professor Ries, but he has been made a cardinal in the consistory of this year, and we send him our affectionate greetings and our immense gratitude for his paternal friendship and his major contribution that he has made from 1982, flanking every year's edition of the meeting. For the younger members, Professor Ries is a historian of religions and the anthropology of the sacred, what he calls religious anthropology. He has a long-standing history as a teacher at the Catholic University of Louvain. His work has been translated into Italian by Jacobuk and published by Jacobuk. And his new edition of his work, The Sacred in the History of Religions, is about to be republished. We had expected to have with us Cardinal Ries, but he will in fact be participating in the meeting through a video which shows a short passage from the speech he had prepared for this meeting, followed by the interview with Roberto Fontelin in Belgium when we realized that he would not be able to be present physically. The full text of the Cardinal's speech will be available at the end of this meeting, and you will also find it on the meeting website, together with the full text of Fontelin's interview, which you may well already have seen because this was already published in the Osservatore Romano newspaper some days ago. The second speaker today is Professor Shodo Habukawa, lecturer at the Moriokoso University. And abbot of the Murioko Inn temple in Koyozan, and that the home of Shintoist Buddhism. Professor Habukawa is also a veteran of the meeting who first attended in 1988. Because something of a coincidence, or in any case an unexpected event, in 1987 led him to meet on Mount Koya. Don Giussani met Professor Habukawa, two great men, both in love with mystery, with the education of young people, worried by an increasingly lay culture. The two met in 1987, and at that meeting a friendship was born, a friendship which Habukawa often mentions will go beyond death. the same age and what the two friends shared in common involving us this year in a genial initiative of Professor Petroni. We went to Japan to take part together with the Montecoya monks in days of meeting and dialogue on the great themes of humanity and religion and relations with the sacred. On that occasion, Habukawa said that my friendship with Don Giussani is reaffirmed on this occasion. And I must say that it was with some amazement and emotion that one morning, taking part in the fire ceremony, which Reverend Habukawa was holding, during the ritual procession, during this fire ceremony, we came across the faded image of Don Giussani with Pope John Paul II, that classic traditional picture that we all are familiar with. The image of Don Francesco Ritti while monks were uttering their three names in prayer. Often Reverend Habukawa recalls that Don Giussani always spoke of mystery, and for me he is the sign of the mystery of the present. Today is yet another occasion to offer testimony and offer our gratitude for a friendship which envelops us and which this year is also expressed in an exhibition which Reverend Habukawa put together for the meeting, and we asked him to choose the images and put them together for the exhibition, which is a visible sign of this experience of the Shingon Buddhism and the relationship Don Giussani experienced with this faith. Now let me introduce our third speaker. I said there were three, and it is Don Stefano Alberto. I will say just a few words about him because many of you will know. After his studies in law in Turin and philosophy and theology in Rome, he is currently a lecturer in theology at the Catholic University of Milan. He is a member of the executive of Communion Liberation and the author of numerous essays on ecclesiology. I take the liberty of taking this opportunity to express the meeting's thanks for his friendship, for the value of his cultural contribution, of which I emphasize just one aspect. Every time Don Pino takes the floor, he can put together the simplicity of the Christian experience by blending the Christian experience with the authority of a cultural wealth which is subject to comparison with anyone, and we know how much the meeting needs contributions of this importance. The topic of Homo Religiosus is not just any topic, but is the heart of the meaning of the meeting, because the religious dimension, as Don Giussani has always said, is part of the original nature of man, of which man reflects in the ultimate questions on every aspect of life. And Don Giussani continues by saying that the religious dimension of life coincides with relational existence and coincides with the deepest sense of reason. If we look at the recent editions of the meeting, it is plain that by recognizing man's ultimate questions in their deepest facets are the factors on which the meeting has been constructed. So this is not just any topic. There are many subjects discussed at the meeting, but the religious sense lies at the roots of what makes the meeting possible. Why does the miracle of encounter between people of different faiths, as we see here today, or as we have seen with amazement, between Jews, Buddhists, Muslims, Anglicans, and lay representatives, for those who have had the opportunity to participate in the inaugural event yesterday evening, that was also a documentation and a testimony of what the encounter with such different men signifies. What made this friendship possible? The answer can be found in Julien Caron's words last October, when he wrote that the religious sense is what is a common thread of man in all times and in everywhere. It expresses the awareness of the original dependence on the mystery of all things. And this awareness is the ultimate point of reason, and this awareness of belonging to mystery, which opens to the language of being, in the words of Benedict XVI, allowing man not to consume his religious sense sentimentally, but to use it as a reasonable criterion of judgment of reality. This year's meeting is designed as an occasion to verify what this position means in relationship with reality. All the proposals of the meeting are to some extent an attempt to document and to study in depth and to discuss what social relations, what creativity, and how science and research can be undertaken in this structural dimension of man. Today's meeting will confront us with three documentations of this nature of man. How this has always been present in the history of humanity, and this will be Cardinal Ries's contribution. How it is present in the Buddhist experience, and this will be discussed by Professor Habukawa. And lastly, how it is present in the Christian experience with Don Alberto. And now we can listen to Cardinal Ries.
A new religious anthropology, fundamental anthropology, dialogue with anthropology is the science which is dedicated to the study of man. Two approaches are present. The first looks at the physical aspect and the biological components of the human body. The second is linked to the field of human sciences. One talks of social anthropology and cultural anthropology in a field which is very fast. The first side, religious anthropology. Religious anthropology sets itself apart from ethnology, from the history and the sociology of religion. It is concerned with man as a religious person, as a creator and user of symbolic sets to indicate the sacred. He is which are bearers of the religious beliefs and creeds that govern his life and his behavior. Every religion has a specific position with regard to man, the human condition, and the place of man in the cosmos, in culture and in society. Biblical anthropology is, in the vision of man, present in the first chapters of the book of the Genesis that we see as the starting point of biblical anthropology. Man, in other words, created in the image and likeness of God. This anthropology is seen in the various books of the Old Testament. In other words, its roots go back in the centuries. And we see the progressive transformation of ideas that govern the human ship. This transformation, which is seen in all its radical forms with the incarnation of the Word of God. And the destiny of man, therefore, is to go from the condition of his own images of the first Adam to that of the second image, that of Christ. The New Testament shows man as being guided towards Christ as his final goal in his life. Now, Your Eminence, how did this passion for study start? In 1968, I was appointed by the bishops of Belgium professor of the history of religions at the Catholic University of Louvain. I'd studied theology, Orientalism, and I also had written a dissertation on Coptic texts and the influence of the New Testament on these Coptic texts. So this passion started from the work that I did teaching my students and seeing the interest that these students showed before what I was teaching them, and also in studying the questions that they asked me, because they were young people who were about 21, 22 years of age, and they plied me with questions. And seeing these students think and thinking myself and reflecting myself on these questions, I pushed forward this work that I did. If, for example, I studied death, survival, the afterlife, immortality in religions, well, if I did that, it was because the Cardinal Ratzinger, the Holy Father, Cardinal Ratzinger at the time, in 1975, sent me his book that he had written on the afterlife for Christians. And therefore, I, on reading this book, said, and he in fact dedicated this book to me, and I said to myself, well, that's an interesting topic. It's interesting to do this for the big religions, and I'm going to continue my research. I'm going to continue my research, and in fact, I succeeded in making a summary and a synthesis of the problem of the religious man and religious anthropology, which means, in fact, the study of the solid sacred and what this means and what religious anthropology actually means. Because we talk a great deal about social and cultural anthropology, structural anthropology, and so on. And I pointed my studies at the study of the religious man and anthropology of the religious man. Who were your maestros? Who were your leaders in your journal? The personages of the 20th century, who were they?
The personality.
The personages that I met, and I cite them regularly, there are two. This is Mircea Eliade, he's a Romanian, and a Frenchman, Georges Dumézil. These are, in my opinion, the greatest. I went especially to many congresses in Italy, especially Italian congresses, especially with Professor Bianchi. And these were conferences which were truly amazing. We became great years. They have since passed on, unfortunately. And these congresses, of course, allowed me to meet scholars of religion from everywhere in the world, and of course historians of religion also coming from Italy. And therefore, gradually, I developed a whole corpus of study, and as a result, Guarnieri, Sante Bagnoli, the editor of Agaka Books, started publishing my books in Italian. And so they became known in Italy. And to conclude, when I retired, he asked me to develop my whole corpus of work, an opera omnia. Well, I hesitated, and then I started out. And that is how we come to have the series of the opera omnia, which has been a great success in Italy and which have been translated into French, 5 volumes now translated into French, and that will be in part also translated into Spanish. What souvenir, what memory do you have of Don Giuseppe? I remember the meeting of 1982 in Rimini. At that time, I met friends of Don Giuseppe, and that was how I met and got to know Comunione e Liberazione, which was a group I didn't know before. And in fact, for a whole week, we were able to talk about this movement and about Don Giuseppe. Don Giuseppe asked me to go to Guido and go and see him. And he then regularly asked me to come to Guido every time I came to Italy. And he asked me to give conferences at the exhibitions of the meeting, the exhibitions that are staged for the meeting. And that's how I came to return to Italy many times. And every time I did so, I went to see Don Giuseppe at Guido. And therefore, we were able to speak for hours on end together. And what did you talk about in such a long conversation? Well, we talked about all the big problems of the church, and especially of the movement Comunione e Liberazione, because this movement was something I was very interested in, because it was the first encounter that I had with a well-organized movement that faced up to the crisis of the church. That was what struck me especially in 1982, that this movement, Comunione e Liberazione, was the response to the 1968 revolution. That I understood immediately, and then I later understood that that was really what it was all about. And I consider Don Giuseppe as an exceptional character man, an exceptional person, very simple, fully accessible and open, but exceptional. Exceptional for his faith, and exceptional because of his ability to communicate his faith, exceptional on account of his influence on young people. You went to the meeting 17 times indeed, and even if you're far off now, this is the 18th attendance of yours. How do you see, and how have you seen the history of the meeting throughout these years? I think that right from the first time in 1982, I think that from the very first time I'd understood that what I saw, and also thanks to what I heard, and also what I saw from the exhibitions organized, they say I understood that the formula of the meeting, which has remained the same, even if it changes every year, this formula of the meeting is original. It's a formula that binds and creates an alliance between faith and culture, the Christian faith and the Christian culture, and indeed it shows how Christian faith and Christian culture must be bound together. Not only that, but that it is the form and the future for a better world. In your studies, the concept of hierophany is fundamental. It's one of the central words that you use in your studies. Can you explain, please, what hierophany is? You have to start by trying to understand what the sacred is. What is the sacred realm? That which is sacred is transcendent. In fact, something that goes beyond this world and which is explained in the word hierophany. And the word hierophany comes from the Greek. Hieros means the sacred, holy. And this is manifested in this world. So in other words, the holy and the sacred which is manifest in the world, and it is perceived by man because it is manifest. So when man finds himself before a statue of Christ or a statue of Buddha, when he stands before the cross of Christ, before a church or a religious event, well then man feels that there is something there which goes beyond what is actually happening normally in the world. Hierophany, therefore, is rather like an event which goes beyond the ordinary aspect of life. Exactly, is the answer. Does man choose to be religious? Or does it just happen that he is religious? Man becomes religious through contact with an event that shows him this transcendence. For example, primitive man prehistoric man 2 million years ago, looking at the heavenly vaults, the heavens, considered that was something that goes beyond him and goes beyond that heavenly vault, and that the heavens became for him a symbol which showed that something exists which surpasses the reality of this world. And by the very fact that he questions and looks at the sun, the stars, and the heavenly vault, man, even 2 million years ago, became, as a result, a Homo Religiosus. Do you think that in contemporary culture, this concept of Homo Religiosus is something which is obsolete, which is now past? This is a problem that we have with current culture. Many obviously are no longer interested in this problem. And that's why it's so important to do the sort of work we do, to study the anthropology of the sacred, to study the anthropology of Homo Religiosus, the sort of studies we do, because we must gradually present to modern man something that is worthwhile. Because modern man is an anxious being. He is a person who doesn't know where his resting place should be. He sees chaos in the world. Because man has not been able to find his reference points, and therefore these points of reference have to be given, and we have to be able to show modern man what a Homo Religiosus is. And in fact, there is a part of him which is Homo Religiosus, and which is, on the other hand, Homo Religiosus. The person who is without religion loses the sense of his existence. This is the big difference between the two. While it's easy for everybody to understand and take on board the concept of Homo faber, why is it so difficult for people to accept the idea of Homo Religiosus? Homo faber or Homo ergaster, as in fact he is called today. Ergaster comes from the Greek, and it's a working man. Well, it's easy to see and understand Homo faber, because here you have a man whose activity is material, and someone who does something and makes something which is visible and easy to recognize. But Homo Religiosus is something which has to do with reflection and an analysis of what makes him discover that the sacred exists. So there is a discovery to be made. It's a whole question of the conscience and awareness that has to be developed for man to understand and discover that. If for man today it's so very difficult to accept his nature as a Homo Religiosus, is it because contemporary man doesn't feel within himself, within his heart, that he has this need to open himself to transcendence? Or is it because there is very little hierophany? Contemporary man is lost, is a man lost. First of all, there's the fact that contemporary man very often does not reflect on things. Men today are occupied and preoccupied by a whole mass of things which are completely different. And therefore, we must take contemporary man back to the central point, to the fundamental ideas like the sacred, like that which is holy, fundamental ideas like the afterlife, and fundamental ideas like the creation of the world, fundamental ideas like Christ. This all is the new evangelization, and therefore now we have to train a whole new generation of young people according and to the model set down by Comunione e Liberazione, young people who go out into the world with this message. Now, your idea of new evangelization is that of reawakening in man this sense, this religious sense. Is that this new evangelization? Yes, this is the first step in this new evangelization. Awaken in man the religious man, sense of transcendence, the notion of the sacred. This is the first step. You know that very often
I think that even though we had to interrupt the interview, the video, for technical reasons, I think that Fontalan's voice showed that the interview had been slowed down and that we had to interrupt the film. Despite this, I think that this will have renewed in us our gratitude for what Professor Ries represents for all of us and what he has represented for us. And I think I can say that on more than one occasion it's been said that Professor Ries's immense cultural work, when he talked about the book that Cardinal Ratzinger gave him, revealed this. He was fully entitled to the acknowledgement that the Church made when they appointed him cardinal, and I think this is an opportunity for us to offer yet once again to offer our thanks. I would now like to ask Professor Habukawa to take the floor with a translation from one of our members. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shodo Habukawa from Mount Koya in Japan. Thank you. Many thanks. Many thanks for your invitation to the meeting in Rimini again this year. Thank you very much.
いたしました記念大会が昨年秋、日本において執行されました。
Allora, ecco, tocca a me, altrimenti non capite niente. Allora, l'autunno.
Last autumn in Japan, a great event took place for friendship and meeting between the Italian and Japanese culture, called the Meeting for Friendship Amongst Peoples Japan. It was organized by Emilia Guarnieri, president of the Foundation for the Meeting for Friendship Amongst Peoples, and His Excellence Mr. Vincenzo Petrone, the Italian ambassador in Tokyo, thanks to the work of Don Massimo Cagnasasca, Don Ambrogio Pioni, and Roberto Fontolan, my long-standing friends, in addition to Professor Corrado Molteni, the cultural attaché at the Italian embassy in Tokyo, and some members of the Italian embassy, and so many other people who made this meeting possible.
すなわち10月27日午後7時、大使館公邸でのオープニングを皮切りに、東京イタリア文化会館、高野山教会本部、福井県永平寺 大本山において開催されました。
L'inaugurazione è avvenuta
The meeting was inaugurated on the 27th of October 2011 at 7 in the evening at the residence of the Italian ambassador in Tokyo. In the 6 subsequent days, we had many meetings, first at the Italian Institute of Culture in Tokyo, and then in the University Lecture Hall at the Taishikoka in Koisan, that is Mount Koya, and in the Eido Temple in the Soto Zen School in the prefecture of Fukui.
でのオープニングからこれが閉幕されるまでの6日間、イタリア、日本、両国、あるいはこのミーティングと私どもが交流を結ばせていただきましてからの25年の足跡が深い階級の思いとともに回顧され、さらには今後この友好がますます発展し、世界にその輪を広げていくための法とや理念についてさまざまな意見が交わされました。
durante questi
During these 6 days, we recalled on many occasions with nostalgia the 25 years of our friendship between Italy and Japan. We shared our ideas for this friendship to become even more consolidated in the future.
いずれもの会場をうずめた熱心な聴衆が目を見張ったのは、ヨハネ・パウロ教皇2世やモンシニョール・ルイジ・ジュサーニ先生の映像が会場の正面にお祭りされ、いつに変わらぬ優しい音眼を持って私たちを見つめていたことであります。
l'uditorio
The audience took part with enthusiasm and was struck by the photographs of His Holiness Pope John Paul II and His Eminence Luigi Giussani, pictures which were on the walls of each room where the meetings took place, because everyone who entered the rooms, they could see their look of mercy.
25年前のことです。1987年6月28日、初めて日本の高野山を訪れられ、今日のこの友好の端緒をお作りになられたのはルイジ・ジュサーニ先生であり、その講義を力強くご支援くださったのがヨハネ・パウロ・ジョバンニ教皇2世であられたのであります。
era il
It was the 26th of June 1987, 25 years ago, when Luigi Giussani came to Koyo-san for the first time, and that was the start of our friendship, strongly supported also by Pope John Paul II, who prayed for this deep friendship to grow.
にはその著宗教心のサブタイトルを人間は無限なるものを追い求めるとし、その目的に到達するためには万物に心を開くことと掲示されております。
il sottotitolo
The subtitle of Giussani's great work, The Religious Sense, is The Nature of Man is his relationship with the infinite, and to reach this aim he emphasizes that it is necessary to open man's heart to everything that exists in the universe.
その時を異なる1200年前に真言スクールのファウンダー弘法大師は悟りを開くための教えという著書の中で一番大切なことは日常の一切の現象あるいはそこに存在する一切の万象を細心の注意力を持って観察することであると教示されております。
Il fondatore del
The founder of Shingon Buddhism, Kobo Daishi, who lived around 1,200 years ago in Japan, teaches us the same thing. In his great work, Sammaya Butsakaigi, which means liturgy, to reach nirvana, says first and foremost to observe all things in daily life with maximum attention.
このお二人の教えは世界の東西を隔て千年の年限を隔てるにもかかわりませず全く同等の同じ内容を示されておることに私たちは驚嘆いたしております。
I was amazed at the common teaching of Donjusani and Kobodaishi, despite the differences between them. Donjusani lived until a few years ago in the West, whereas Kobodaishi lived around 1,000 years ago in the East. But both of them shared this common teaching.
すなわち春夏秋冬の四季その四季折々に流れる風や雲野を鳴き渡る鳥や虫の声森や林やそこに流れる小川の流れの音光の強さ弱さ花が散り花が咲くその四季の状態あるいはそこに流れてくるサウンド音の工程など宇宙上の森羅万象があります。
vuol dire che
This means that every single phenomenon in the universe, even in the change of the four seasons, spring, summer, autumn and winter, we can see the presence of mystery. For example, the sky contains the wind and clouds that change. In the fields there are birds, animals and insects that sing. In the forests and in the woods there is water flowing, strong light, weak light, flowers opening and then falling, high and low sounds. In all this for us there is the presence of mystery.
生きとし生けるすべてのものは千差万別の存在でありますがそこに流れるものは同一の共同の時間帯であり共有の空間であり命なのであります。
così tutte
So all these existences have different figures, but they all exist in shared time and in shared space and in the shared life, so that we can say that there is just one life.
ドン・ジュサーニの万物に心を開くとはまさしくこの善越の宇宙体を共有する一切の 存在、一切の現象との共存感覚を自己のうちに生かすことなのであります。そこにおのずから万象に対するカンパッション、慈愛、慈悲の心が育つのであります。
Come dice
As Don Giussani says, open your heart to all things means realizing that I coexist with the universe, which gives life and keeps all living beings, holds all living beings. When a person starts to understand this point, the sense of the gentleness and mercy of everything that lives can be perceived.
この生涯の幕を閉じることになりました近世近代日本の代表的哲学者である西田喜太郎氏は次のように述べております。すなわち自己は宇宙の表現点であるという有名な提言を残されましたが、まさしく宇宙に我々が進んで自己融合同化させることこそ無限を求める心、すなわち無限なる神を求める宗教心なのであります。
un filosofo giapponese
A modern Japanese philosopher, Kataro Nishida, who died in June 1945, left us this famous thesis. God is an expression of the universe. When spontaneously we receive ourselves with the universe, there is man's religious sense, because the heart yearns for the infinite and the religious sense searches for the infinite God.
ここに終わりに際しまして一言申し上げさせていただきたいことは、本年もミーティングにお招きいただき懐かしい皆様との再会を果たすことできましたことを衷心より御礼申し上げます。グラツェ。
prima di finire
Before I end my talk, I would just like to add 2 points. First of all, I would like to thank the meeting for your kind invitation again this year, because here at the meeting I am meeting so many dear friends.
はい、じゃあ続いてください。
次に皆様にご講覧いただきたく持参いたしました仏像と曼荼羅や絵画について一言申し述べさせていただきます。
Secondo, vorrei spiegare velocemente
Secondly, I would quickly like to explain what we brought to the exhibition of Koya-san entitled The Sacred Mountain of Shingon Miko Buddhism that Don Giussani so loved. I'd like to show you some Buddhist statues, a couple of mandala and some Buddhist paintings.
さあにが私たちの高野山を訪問くだされ、早速ご案内申し上げましたのが高野山の宝物館でありました。
come dicevo prima, 25 anni fa
As I said before, 25 years ago, the day Luigi Giussani came to Mount Koya, I took him to the Museum of Treasures.
手を持つ仏像に強い関心を持たれた先生は、千の手は救済を求める多くの人たちに差し伸べられるための慈悲の表現であるということを知られまして、非常に強い感動を抱かれたのであります。
Mi è rimasto impresso
I was struck by his strong interest in the statue of the Thousand Arms of Canon, because he said this statue, that through its thousand arms, is dedicated to the salvation of all human beings. And this lets us understand how the mercy of God for Christians.
には千の手の描かれた観音像が入っております。
sul mandala che ho portato per la
On the mandala that I brought for the exhibition, we have a painting of the figure of the canon divinity with the thousand arms.
多少趣をことにいたします近世のものでありますが、その一点はジャパニーズネーム大石純教という女性のプリストでありまして、その人の書きましたポエムと、それから絵が秋の虫の図を描きましたものを一点掲示しております。
tra tutte queste
Among all these Buddhist paintings, there is a special figure. It's a poem written by a nun, Junkoya Oishi, with a figure of an autumnal insect.
87年に生を受け、1968年に仏の世界に入られました80歳の生涯を遂げた方でありますが、大阪の裕福な家庭に生まれ、母親の影響で小さい時から舞踊を習い、12歳にはすでに舞踊の先生となりますが、17歳の折に不幸な事故により両手を切断いたします。
questa
This nun was 80. Sister Junko was born into a wealthy family, and when she was 12, she became a Japanese dance teacher. When she was 17, a tragedy struck when she lost both her arms.
旅から旅へこの旅を続ける巡業の歌手として身を立てようといたしますが、ある日東北の旅先の旅館で鳥かごの中に遊ぶカナリアの母親が口に餌を食わせて子供を育てるのを見て発奮いたします。
dopo questo
After this tragedy, to survive, she became a singer, going from city to city. And on tournée, one day, in a hotel, she saw our mother canary feeding its chick with its beak. And this episode led to her inspiration and rebirth.
流々進空いたしまして、一流の芸術家となり、また京都の寺院の一宮を借りまして養護施設を建て、福祉のために生涯をかけておられます。
dopo molti
After many efforts, she became a leading artist. She built an institute for the handicapped and part of the Buddhist temple in Kyoto. So she dedicated the rest of her life to social work.
あらざる心情を自身の歌にして読みました一句をご紹介いたしまして終わらせていただきます。
To conclude, I would just like to read a Japanese poem called tanka, made up of 57577 syllables in the verses.
知恵たる鳥こそ我の死にてありけれ。
Poiché mi hai
As you have taught me, put your brush in your mouth and you can write. The Mother Canary is my master of life. Thank you very much.
Caro professor Habukawa, credo che ci accorgiamo.
Dear Professor Habukawa, we realize that we will never stop learning from people like you and from Don Giussani about the truth of man and the truth of his need for mystery. Again, we express our profound thanks. And now, I would like to ask Don Stefano Alberto to take the floor. Allow me to start my talk, which I will say from the outset will be short, by recalling with a personal memory of this friendship formed between Professor Habukawa and Don Giussani. He refers to the first time Professor Habukawa came to Italy and met Don Giussani at Sacro Cuore one hot summer morning, just like the present days. And I remember that when Professor Habukawa came downstairs and got into the car to leave the courtyard of the Sacro Cuore, he opened the window and leant out of the car as the car was driving off, and he put his hands together and did not stop for one instant looking at Don Giussani, who was standing at the bottom of the stairs, and continued to watch him drive off. At a certain point, Don Giussani was overcome and started to weep. And he said to us, if this man had lived 2,000 years ago, if he had met Christ, he would be one of the apostles. Don't ask me to explain the profundity of this phrase. We will understand the meaning of it in heaven. But definitely what emerged very clearly, and that 25 years of history have confirmed, is the inescapability and the inevitability of that particular fact. That mysterious and concrete strength which joined together forever the destiny of two men, so different and yet so deeply, such deep friends, companions in their journey to their destiny. And I just want to say this to answer yet again one of the subtle forms of emptying the title of the meeting, but to specify that it is the experience that guides us and not abstract thought. Talking about the infinite is talking about something which is impalpable and abstract. It means emptying with words the strength and the concrete meaning of our experience, because 25 years of history, 25 years of a shared journey with a vast differences are not possible in something abstract. It's not possible with something impalpable. And I'm saying this to emphasize one aspect of the dimension of Homo Religiosus, and going back to a mention of two short, brief facts mentioned by Professor Ries. Man becomes religious by contact with an event which shows him transcendence. Each man is destined to become religious, but many have not found the path. And I think this is the slant that he emphasizes, not so much that as soon as someone watches carefully, it becomes obvious. It's not something that I have given myself a life, but paradoxically, the paradox we are living and experiencing today, in the last few decades in the West, is showing its face on the one hand with all its problems, and on the other, full of a resource. Can we grasp this resource is the question. Let me explain. It is so obvious that man does not make himself. You weren't there, you're there now, and you won't be there in the future. It depends on something else, some other thing, other than you. Today, we are experiencing the paradoxical and dramatic difficulty of recognizing, acknowledging life as dependence. And for me, this was something highlighted most effectively, the dynamics we come across on a daily basis, highlighted by Benedict XVI a year ago in his great speech to the Bundestag, when he used the image of the bunker, the reinforced concrete bunker. That's the official Vatican translation. Man has shut himself in a bunker where air and light everything is artificial. In a self-made world, paradoxically, man has difficulty recognizing this structural opening to the infinite. Let me be clear, man is not necessarily religious, to use Cardinal Ries's words. He is rather not against this, but is indifferent. And citing St. Benedict's speech to the Bundestag, when the Pope emphasizes that in the world self-made by man, when this world secretly taps God's resources to cultivate the illusion of transforming it into its own resources. It's interesting, this idea of tapping into God's resources. We do not give ourselves life. We can make all sorts of mess, cloning and so forth, and bioengineering and science fiction, but the element of life does not belong to us. So this is the emergency, and this is the third reference, to open the window, to look at the vast size of the world, the heavens and the earth, and to use all of this in the right way. This idea of flinging the windows open is not a moral invocation to analysis. We talked in the last few days about that unforeseeable instant which returns in Cardinal Ries's method. Suddenly, man, without any preparation other than feeling his heartbeat, comes into contact with an event which will show him transcendence. The beauty of nature, the seasons, as Professor Habukawa said, the beauty of a face, the curiosity which arises in humanity perceived as different and fascinating. And here, as Emilia said, while I was looking at the video of Professor Ries, here to talk about Homo Religiosus, we end up talking about Don Giussani, because allow me this point. It's the strong point of Caron in his writings. This brings us to a completely positive position. The lost man will not be converted if someone is shouting or complaining or putting him into religious sociology statistics. This will only stimulate more disaffection. No great organizations or congresses, nothing. This is the revolutionary aspect. Chapter 10 of The Religious Sense by Giussani. Religiosity is first and foremost the development of attraction and first and foremost amazement with which the true researcher is full, wonder of the presence. That is what attracts me. And this is what unleashes research in me. Allow me to say that no one other than Pope Benedict has a religiosity of this type. The development of what is attractive, because what is attractive is not in our hands. We cannot produce it. It happens, it comes to pass, as does an encounter between two friends who meet and then accompany each other from one side of the world to another in their destiny. No one can clerically possess this attraction. There is no project, there is no moral commitment, there is no socio-religious analysis that can generate this point of attraction. And the point that Professor Habukawa identifies as the point in common between Kobodaishi and Don Giussani is to look at things in life. Open your heart to all things means realizing that I coexist with a universe that gives life and maintains in life all living things. So we are faced, I'm faced, you're faced, meeting people at school, in universities, in factories. We have two possibilities, two ongoing possibilities in each one of us. We can shut off our minds and our reason to reality. Instead of being open, we can shut down to in a self-made world. Or we can open our hearts to everything that in the universe, to the point of recognizing you who made me. Here, we don't just have the possibility to have relationships between such different men, flourishing friendships in which each person helps the other to be himself to the full in his relationship with mystery. But this, and I recall this because it is a topical issue for political, social, and allow me ecclesiastical power, which is the most terrible power of all, said Giussani. The last key feature of the dignity and freedom of every man. If you remember that very simple drawing in chapter 8, that circle which indicates the whole of reality, at a certain point, like a dot, the self appears, not a generic self, but each individual self, me, you, you. There is only one possibility. In only one case will this point make the individual man free in the world. He is free, and the entire world cannot force him. The entire universe cannot force him. Only in one case will this image of free man, can this image of free man be explained, if we assume that that dot is not completely made up by its surroundings, by the biology of his father and mother, by the social and cultural and religious environment, but possesses something which is a direct relationship with the infinite, a direct relationship with the origin of everything, the flux of the world. The religious man is the only possibility for the foundations of freedom. This, for each of us, has a price. We have been told that you are without a nation. John Paul II said exactly 30 years ago, you are without a nation, to emphasize the relationship man has directly with mystery, a key feature of his freedom. Because this is the novelty that Christ brings to each man. As was recalled on the 30th of May in Rome, before the Pope, no man, no mother has been able to pose a question so full of tenderness about the destiny of the individual. No one other than Christ. What is the point if man earn all the world if he then loses his soul? What do you give in exchange of yourself? A man is without a nation also within the church, because he takes this question seriously. And allow me a subtle opposition here which could even become persecution. You are making a religious choice. The persecution is entirely intra-ecclesiastical because we are the essential aspects of any project that does not take this question seriously, the question raised by Christ and posed not to the Christian, but to man. Man with all his limits, with his evil and with his needs. The problem for which we are in peace and in war, dramatically dissatisfied on our journey of our destiny, reflected by what Giussani has taught us in our daily lives. There is no answer more useless or more incredible than the answer to a problem that one refuses to, a question one refuses to ask. This is the problem. The check on the Christian faith in Jesus Christ, present here and now, is the religious sense. And the religiosity and the new use of freedom and reason, for us Christians in the modern age, we have been detached not from Christian formulae, not from Christian rites and sacrament, and not from the laws of the Christian commandments. We have been detached from the foundations of humanity, from the religious sense. We have a faith which is no longer religiosity. We have a faith which no longer answers as it should the religious feeling. We have a faith which is not aware, which is no longer intelligent and aware of itself. Whereas the religious sense, the great gift God gave us with the comparison of life, this is what it is needed for, to realize that in the mystery-made man that shares our lives, everything becomes interesting, everything is worth it, everything. Far more than a religious choice, but those who poses these questions does not come here. Everything we are interested in, everything can be done, as Emilia said, well, for the wrong reason, citing T.S. Eliot. But we want to remain men. We want to be conscious, aware beings, and we want to be free. And for this reason, we are grateful for an ongoing story continuing in an unforeseeable fashion, but through meetings that took place and which originated quite casually, without any planning, but by the force of attraction, which has the characteristic of taking each aspect of each of us and putting us together and not leaving us contented on our journey towards our destiny.
Grazie Don Pino.
Thank you, Don Pino. I conclude wishing to you and to myself that these days can really be the opportunity to enjoy this fascinating paradox of being without a homeland, without a nation, and friends of the world, as we are seeing. Allow me, finally, and I ask you to listen, because this is an example of this friendship with the whole world. Allow me to say that we now have the pleasure and the honor to greet together a person who for some time now has had an intense friendship with some of us, and which we can now consider a new friend of the meeting. We have here with us, and we greet him very warmly, the second abbot of Fudenigi, Taiten Fausto Guareschi.
Come vedete, l'amicizia.
The friendship grows, and this evening we have another possibility of seeing this. And with this, I'd like to say goodbye and wish you a very pleasant evening.
È la fine degli anni 70. Tra alcuni amici che condividono le